You all can hear me. Can I get some confirmation?
We can hear you, sir.
Right, you all got the paper, no?
Yes, sir. We got.
Right. So let's follow that. Okay, now we are going to do the qualitative analysis question. That's in page 8. Page 8, qualitative analysis question. Right. So here it's this is going to be a very useful type. Question because there's a lot we can explain, and there are a lot of points we can tell you all like where you can improve. Right. So let's go to the first part. It says where reagents are selected for use in a test, the name or the correct formula of the element or compound must be given. I have to write the name or the correct formula. At each stage of any test, you are to record details of the following. First is color changes that you see, right? Clearly you say from which color to which color it changes. And the formation of any precipitate and formation of any precipitate and its solubility in excess of the reagent, right? So for an example, cations, when you analyze, we are dropwise. So let's say you got a precipitate and some precipitate dissolves in excess. So you have to mention whether it's soluble or whether it's insoluble. And I have told you all, when it comes to this cation, there are other than this, soluble part. So one point is like when it's soluble, the final color of the solution should be written. That's one thing. And also the other thing is in some cases, there's extra observations. One example is FP2 plus forms that brown color, and also Mn2 plus off-white PPT again turns brown on contact with air. None of these we memorize, but it's all there in the last page of the paper, right? Then the formation of any gas and its identification by a suitable test. This is what most of us miss, right? We see effervescence, but we don't test the gas, right? And also in some cases, we can think of the gas, right? If you are smart, you can understand what your gas is, right? So anyway, you have to identify, when there's any gas form, you have to identify the gas by suitable test. So that won't be given in the procedure that you're supposed to do it, and you get marks for that. You should indicate clearly at what stage in a test a change occur, right? When you had excess or when you had dropwise, like that. Uh, if any solution is warm, a boiling tube must be used. That's important. Rinse and reuse your test tube. You won't be given a lot of test tubes. You to rinse and reuse, because otherwise there can be interference with your test. So better to rinse thoroughly. A boiling tube and boiling tubes where possible. So no additional tests for ions present should be attempted. No additional tests, only what they have told, right? So first part, question number 3, part A, you will investigate FA6. FA6. So we will pour 1 cm depth, 1 centimeter depth of HCl, or this is FA2 we are using in a test tube, right? So we have FA2. So roughly 1 centimeter depth. Always use what they say, because the observations are very clear when you follow that. Right. It's not 1 centimeter cubes, it's 1 centimeter, the height. Then add a small spatula measure of FA6 to the acid. Now, before we add, like we know to an acid, we can add 2 substances, right? So one is with acid, one that gives you observation is that a metal. When you add a metal, you get effervescence because of hydrogen gas. And to an acid, the other one is carbonate. So when you add carbonate, you get effervescence again, then that's carbon dioxide release. So the test for hydrogen, test for carbon dioxide should be carried out. But the point is, guys, when you're adding a metal, if you're given a metal, it's a metal. So to distinguish between a carbonate and a metal, how we can do that easily is usually, if it is carbonate, it's not silvery color, right? Carbonate has something like copper carbonate has, green color, but other than that, group 1 or group 2 carbonates all are white, right? So let's see. Now we are going to add this FA6. So have a look at FA6. You can decide now what this FA6 is, right? So we decide now, okay, looking by the look of FA6, we have to also think of how we are going to test the gas, right? So since it has this look, we know like what gas we have to investigate. Can someone tell me, like, if you have like you saw what we are going to add FA6 is, what do you think is the gas going to be? Because we know we are going to add FA6 into the acid.
Hydrogen.
Very good, right? So now we have to be ready also to, so make sure you add everything. Sorry, add a small spatula. Right, anyway, we'll add everything. This is how much they have given us. Now we'll concentrate the gas. That's also important. You can use this method. You can see, show that initial, right. So you can see we have used this tissue paper. And you heard that, right? Did you hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So you can write all that, record all your observations. You also what happened in the solution, and record all your observations. Yeah. Right. So like while we discuss this, you all better write down any observations you all saw. Right. And also now the next part is what can you deduce from your observation, explain your answer. So that part you can do when we give you time to write down everything. So especially the observations, you all have to note down. Right. Okay, so that's an important trick. Whenever we add a certain substance to an acid, it can be mainly two compounds, either a metal or a carbon, because those two give proper observations, right? So acid react with sodium hydroxide, but there's no observation there, right? But here you can see the observation. So part B, Roman number 1. Now FA7 is a sodium compound containing an anion listed in the qualitative analysis notes. Now we know it's sodium, but we don't know what the anion is, right? So it's a sodium containing one. So cation is known, but the anion is not known. But the anion is listed in the qualitative analysis note. That means in that list. Right. So we're going to heat a small spatula measure of FA7 in a hard glass test tube. Right. So let's observe that properly. It's important to take a close look. If we can give a better look, better angle. No, the color is not visible. Right now, they're heating. They asked to heat strongly until no further change occur. Then leave the test tube and content to cool. Right. So we will heat strongly until no change is occurring. And you can see what is happening to the solid now. Focus on. Can you see the solid is now becoming a liquid? And initially the solid was white color. Now we can see we'll anyway show you all like the end color also, final color. It was white and then light brown color. Now we will show still can't see properly. Right, so they ask us to heat until there's no more change, right? can show the color for a while. Take it out. Can't see. Right, it's slightly yellowish. Yellow color is anyway very hard to see properly. So slightly yellowish now, like light brown. Right. Okay, so once it's no more changing, we can stop and we can now show the color. It's not like colorless completely. It has this bit of a yellowish color. You can see now. Slightly yellow. Right, anyway, now when we do the experiment, right, so you might now like, right. So now when we do the experiment, whatever you saw, you have to write down, right? Record all your observations. If you see the solid dissolve, or if you see the solid, dissolves, or if you see a color in the solution, you better write it down. Okay. And we'll leave it to cool. Right. We'll leave it to cool, and then you better write down all the observation. I'll explain if there's anything that you didn't know. But anyway, like at this point, you might wonder, okay, what happened there and what kind of anion is there? But still have some patience. We might able to find out with further tests, right? So then, if there's anything that you saw, you can quickly note it down. Right. Now, after the Roman number 1, so we didn't put all Fa7 into the boiling tube. It says initially they said Fa7 is a sodium compound containing this anion. Heat a small spatula measure of Fa7. So now in the Roman number 2, they ask us to dissolve the remaining, right? So dissolve the remaining. That's why it's important to read the procedure before you start the whole process, because if you added like everything into the boiling tube at that point, you don't have Fa7 now to do the next part. Then when we ask for more Fa7, they will deduct some marks. Right? Sometimes they won't give. So dissolve now the remaining Fa7 in a 5 centimeter depth of distilled water. So distilled water in a boiling tube, label this as Fa8 solution. Right, so this is Fa8. So we will add. Right. So you get a clear solution after dissolving. That is your Fa8. So whenever they mention Fa8 anywhere, it's the prepared solution now. Right. So in the next part, we are using Fa9 is a solution of a different sodium content. So in both, we know the cation is sodium, but the anion is not known. It says here also they say the anion is listed in the qualitative analysis notes. Right, carry out the following test for Fa8 and Fa9. So we will. Okay. So Fa8 is this. Right, so it's important to label because both the solutions are colorless. You might panic and add the wrong solution into the wrong solution. Therefore, always label. Like here we have Fa9 solution. Right, now we are going to carry out the following test for FA8 and FA9. We'll do it parallelly and show you all the observation. Right. To 1 centimeter depth in a test tube, add few drops of aqueous acidified potassium manganate. Right, so to 5 cm depth. Sorry, 1 centimeter depth. 1 centimeter depth. Right, now while you all look at it, just look at the reaction. Anyway, now when we add KMnO4, it's going to be a redox reaction definitely. So if there's a color change, that's because any anion here, it got oxidized by KMnO4. If there is a color change, but if there's no color change, that means it's not reacting or getting oxidized by KMnO4. That kind of idea should be there in your head. Look at the observation. Right, you can see the purple color is not changed, right? Now you have an idea what kind of a anion is there. Is it getting oxidized? Is it something that cannot get oxidized, right? So we will leave that. And then we'll do the same for FA9 now. FA9. So FA9, we're gonna add KMnO4. So clearly, watch this. Right, can you see the color is disappearing as soon as we add KMnO4 into this? And you know what's going on there, right? So let's write down observation. We can add more and show you. Right, so that's the observation. You can quickly note it down under FA9.
So what's the observation on the FA9?
What did you see? What did you see? With
Water
FA9
and colorless solution.
turn into. So when we had KMnO4, what happened? The color of KMnO4.
Change to colorless solution.
Yeah, that's the observation. Yes. Right. Now again for FA8. Right. So we take 1 centimeter depth, FA8. And we're gonna add aqueous barium chloride or barium nitrate. Right. So now we know, like, why do we add barium chloride or barium nitrate? To identify sulfate or sulfide, right? So you have an idea now in your head. So we can add barium chloride. Check the observation. Right. So if there's nothing happening, you can write down no change. Right. So that's what happened with FA8 after. Right. Now we'll add FA9. FA9 into. Right. Check the observation for FA9. Barium nitrate. You know, like what anion we are looking for here. There are two possibilities. Right. You can see what is happening. Right. You can write down the observation there. I don't have to tell you what observation exactly is. You can see that. You're going to write down. But always remember there are two possibilities for that, because it can be two anions, but the previous experiment will help you to distinguish the correct anion. During my discussion, I will explain that. So I will keep this as a challenge for you all, right? I will keep that as a challenge for you all to figure out the correct anion there, right? So we added KMnO4, we added barium chloride. Now we are going to add to 1 centimeter depth. We are going to add into a boiling tube. We can add equal volume of sodium hydroxide and carefully warm. Right. Now, here they have told the cation is sodium, right? So cation is sodium. So anyway, like adding sodium hydroxide here is not to identify the cation, right? Sodium hydroxide is added to find out the cation, or even some anion tests we have sodium hydroxide. So we are going to add aqueous sodium hydroxide and then carefully warm equal volume of Fa8 and sodium hydroxide. Usually we add sodium hydroxide and warm carefully during the test for ammonium ion. Anyhow, now the cation is sodium, so there can't be ammonium ion. Anyway, like we're gonna warm carefully and then follow the next part. So you can see while we add sodium hydroxide, there's no change, no visible change, because the cation is sodium, won't form a precipitate or colored solution. Right, then we're going to warm carefully, and we will keep the litmus paper, damp red litmus here, because the next part says add aluminium foil. Like we know, we usually add sodium hydroxide and aluminium foil to find out nitrate and nitrite, and during the experiment ammonia gas is given out. But here you can see if there's any change. Right. Right. No change, right? No change. Nothing happened in the solution also. Then we have to add aluminium foil. Now remember this test, right? Whenever there's aluminium foil, you should suspect now that we are going to test for the nitrate or nitrite, right? And also the other advice I'm giving you all is, it says warm carefully and add aluminium foil. And this reaction is quite vigorous. If you heat thoroughly, and then the solution will come out and then it will burn your hand, right? So also when you go to the university, make sure you follow the procedure well. Here, when you add aluminium, the reaction will start. You can see effervescence already given out, so you can test for the gas. Remember, in the anion list it says ammonia gas is given out, so you can see now the color is slowly changing. If you can show to that side, now you can see the color. Right. Okay, you can note it down. So like the reaction is becoming really vigorous. If you can show the test tube as well. Really vigorous, right? If you keep on heating now, the solution will definitely come out. So be careful when you do the test for nitrate and nitrite. How do we know we are doing the test for nitrate and nitrite? The main point was we added sodium hydroxide and aluminium foil. That we always do to find out if there's a nitrate or nitrite. Right. So that's the final color of the litmus paper. You can write down your observations. So with the initial part, nothing happened, but after adding aluminium foil, we saw some observation, right? We'll do the same for FPA9. So you can add sodium hydroxide equal volumes, and then right. So and then we're gonna add aluminium foil and see if there's any change. 1 centimeter depth in a boiling tube, equal volume of sodium hydroxide. As you can see, if there's any color change. Right, nothing, no visible change, right? Then after warming, we have to add aluminium foil. Right. Look at the test tube as well. You can see the effervescence there. Right, and but we will check what happens with the litmus paper. So litmus paper should change the color if there's any nitrate or nitrite. So you can see, unlike in the other one, the color is not actually changing in the litmus paper, but there's some observation going in the test tube. So when you write down the observation, you have to write down whatever you see, right? Right. So that's the observation. You can see that litmus paper didn't change the color, and there was effervescence in this solution. Right. So that's it for the third part. Now we have a challenge for you all to figure out this anion in Fa8 and Fa9, and then answer all the questions quickly. And we're going to give you some time to do that. Right. Now it's 8:33. I think about 20 minutes enough. 20 minutes. So we'll start in 20 minutes. Around 8:55 we can start. Right. So quickly finish everything, and then we'll join for the discussion.